Sri Srimad Divine Graces Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Srimad Bhagavatam Gandharaj Ki. Oh, glory to the symbol of devotees. Oh, glory to the symbol of devotees. Oh, glory to the sweet Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse 45. Continuation of Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Nasya karmini jannado parasyanu vidiyate Kartritva pratisedhartam Mayayo pitam hitat Nasya karmani jannaro Parasyanu vidiyate Kartritva pratisedhartam Mayayo pitamita. Na, never. Asya, of the creation. Karmani, in the matter of. Janma ado, creation and destruction. Parasya, of the Supreme. Anuvidiyate, it is so described. Kartritva, engineering. Pratisedatam, counteract, Maya, by the external energy, Aropitam, is manifest, He, for, Tat, the Creator. Translation: there is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea that material nature is the creator. Purport: it's rather an extensive purport today, so I was thinking about splitting it up, but it's actually just, Srila Prabhupada just continues from one logic to another, so we'll read through it and see how we go. The Vedic direction for creation, maintenance and destruction of the material world is this. Yatto vāhimani bhuttani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti vishanti. That is, everything is created by Brahman. After creation, everything is maintained by Brahman. And after annihilation, everything is conserved in Brahman. Gross materialists, without any knowledge of Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan, conclude material nature to be the ultimate cause of the material manifestation. And the modern scientist also shares this view that the material nature is the ultimate cause of all the manifestations of the material world. This view is refuted by all Vedic literature. The Vedanta philosophy mentions that Brahman is the fountainhead of all creation, maintenance and destruction. And Srimad Bhagavatam, natural commentation of Vedanta philosophy, says, etc. That's from the first verse in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Inert matter is undoubtedly energy with potential to interact, but it has no initiative of its own. Srimad Bhagavatam therefore comments on the aphorism Janvidiyasya by saying Abhikya and Swarat, that is, Supreme Brahman, is not inert matter, but he is supreme consciousness and is independent. Therefore, inert matter cannot be the ultimate cause of the creation, maintenance and destruction of the material world. Superficially, material nature appears to be the cause of creation, maintenance and destruction, but material nature is set into motion for creation by the Supreme Conscious Being, Personality of Godhead. He is the background of all creation, maintenance and destruction, and this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate cha sharacharam vishtunanina kontaya jagapibari bhaktate, Bhagavad Gita 9:10. The material nature is one of the energies of the Lord, and she can work under the direction of the Lord. Adyakshena. When the Lord throws his transcendental glance over material nature, then only can material nature act as a father contacts the mother who is unable to conceive a child. Although it appears to the layman that the mother gives birth to the child, the experienced man knows that the father gives birth to the child. Material nature therefore produces the moving and standing manifestations of the material world after being contacted by the Supreme Father and not independently. Considering material nature to be the cause of creation, maintenance, etc. is called logic of nipples on the neck of a goat. So you've all seen nipples on the neck of a goat, haven't you? Next time you see a goat, the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami describes this logic of Ajagala Stanyaya as follows, as explained by His Divine Grace Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, who is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. Quote, the material nature as a material cause is known as pradhana, and as efficient cause is known as maya. But since it is inert matter, it is not the remote cause of creation. Kaviraj Goswami states as follows, Ataiva Krishna Mulajaga Karuna Prakriti Karuna Yancha Ajjaga Sthana. Chaitanya Charamrita Adilila 561. Because Karanavarshai Vishnu, was it Karanadoksha Vishnu, is a plenary expansion of Krishna. It is He who electrifies the matter and puts into motion. Example of electrification is quite appropriate. A piece of iron is certainly not fire, but when the iron is made red hot, certainly has the quality of fire through its burning capacity. Matter is compared to the piece of iron, and it is electrified, made red hot by the glance and manipulation of the Supreme Consciousness of Vishnu. Only by such electrification is the energy of matter displayed in various actions and reactions. Therefore, inert matter is neither efficient nor the material cause of cosmic manifestation. Srila Kapila Deva said, Yato mukad vishwalanga dumad babi swasambhavat apyat vena vimatad yatagni pritag umakad. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:28-40. The original fire, its flame. I'm going to ask questions on this, so you pay attention here. Original fire, its flame, its sparks, and its smokes are all one. For the fire is still fire, yet it's different from the flame. Flame is different from the sparks, and the sparks are different from the smoke. In every one of them, namely in the flames, in the sparks, and in the smoke, the integrity of the fire is present. Yet, all of them are differently situated with different positions. The cosmic manifestation is compared to the smoke, because when the smoke passes over the sky, so many forms appear, resembling many known and unknown manifestations. The sparks are compared to living entities, and the flames are compared to material nature. One must know that each and every one of them is effective simply because being empowered by the quality of the original fire. Therefore, all of them, namely material nature, cosmic manifestation, and the living entities, are but different energies of the Lord fire. Therefore, those who accept the material nature as a cosmic manifestation's original cause, Prakriti, cause of creation according to Sankhya philosophy, are not correct in their conclusion. Material nature has no separate existence without the Lord. Therefore, setting aside the Supreme Lord as the cause of all causes is the logic of Ajagala Stananyana, or trying to milk the nipples on the neck of a goat. The nipples on the neck of a goat may seem like sources of milk, but trying to get milk from such nipples will be foolish. Durgame Parinandasya Skalapati Gati Buhusukibus Vadanamishantishan Magina Timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chaksurindalatam Yanatasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Prabhupada is very, very elaborately gone into explaining this shloka. We'll read the shloka again because actually it is a rather sort of one of those slokas where it says that the Vedas say one thing but then they also say something else in another part. So translation, there is no direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about his direct interference is simply to counteract the idea material nature is the creator. So sometimes the Vedas appear to be contradictory, but they actually clarify some other fine technical point. So in this particular case, Srila Prabhupada gives elaborate quotes as to how even though the Lord is the original creator of this material manifestation, still he is not directly he's not directly involved, because it's material manifestation going by his energies. And so we are discussing his different energies. So to get a bit of a comprehension, start at the beginning, because this is rather an overwhelming sloka and an overwhelming purport. We'll get to the basics that human beings in general have three types of beliefs. So the first lot of people, the first classification of human being is they believe that there is a God, that God is the creator of this manifestation. So that is the first one. The second one is that there's a certain type of people that believe that God is Brahman, that He is energy, that this energy, Brahman, effulgence, is spiritual energy, is the source of everything. Right, that's the second one. And of course the ultimate goal for those people is to actually merge with the Brahman, become God, become part of this whole creation. We do. So the third one is that the ultimate source is material energy, that this material energy somehow or other, by its own volition, caused everything that you see to happen like that. Everything that you see is just a product of material energy. There is no other factor, right? Material energy brings it. So that's the three beliefs that are there. So we'll just sort of discuss them a little bit in light of Srila Prabhupada's purport. So the first one, so the first type of human being, most of us sitting here, I think, in that classification, we believe that there's a creator God, that God's created this material manifestation. There is so much evidence to prove it. One of the most striking affirmations of this was given to us by Supreme Personality Godhead himself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who discovered some of Lord Brahma's prayers. And the very first prayer that he utters in the 5th chapter of his Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Paramat Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It's a very, very beautiful prayer which succinctly explains Krishna's role in this material universe, and being in mind that Lord Brahma is the firstborn, most intelligent living entity in this material universe, more intelligent than all the scientists put together, because he created everything, he knows how it works. If you want to know how it works, just ask Lord Brahma. He created the machinery. He's the secondary creator. So Ishvara, Lord Brahma is saying, Krishna is supreme controller. Ishvara Parama, supreme. Para means supreme. Krishna. Ishvara Parama, Krishna. He's the one. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. So what have we got in Sat Chit Ananda?
Eternal blissful.
Yeah. Eternity, bliss, knowledge. Such is eternity. Chit is knowledge, and Ananda is Ananda, bliss, Satchidananda, bliss, Satchidananda Vigraha. That's Krishna's form. So from that blissful, eternal, knowledgeable form comes all the creation. Anadir Govinda. This is very, very interesting, because Anadir means that that's without a beginning. The origin has no beginning. Adi Govinda, Govinda is eternal. So this is where the materials comes into a bit of a knot here, because everything in the material world has a beginning and an end. We see this according to the time factor. But in the spiritual world, time factor, that is noticeable by its absence. Even though the time factor is there, and it is there to serve Krishna. So there is no time, so there is no beginning. So Krishna is eternal. It's just like one eternal time, right? So there is no birth. So Krishna has always existed. So it's really hard for a conditioned living entity who's been born, who's going to die, and who's seen his parents and parents before that. Everybody's born. Everybody gets born and dies. Everything. So how is this eternal? We cannot conceive of this eternal time, unlimited. So anyway, Krishna says, Aditi Govinda, Sarva Karuna Karunam. He is the cause of all causes. Sarva means everything, Karuna, cause, Karunam, all causes. So this is Lord Brahma's prayer. And this is coming from Lord Brahma. So we say, well, okay, well, Lord Brahma. But, as I said, Lord Brahma is the original. He's our grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather, many millions of times over. He's the one that sired. From him comes all the living entities, all the bodies, all living entities. And he's also our spiritual master, Rama, Gaudya, Madhva, Sampradaya. So Lord Brahma is also our spiritual master in the cyclic succession. So therefore, his words are very, very poignant. And who gave us this prayer? As I said, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna incarnate, found these prayers in India and gave them to us at this particular point in time. So therefore, it's very easy to understand Krishna's position if we take that stand that this is coming from Lord Brahma and it's coming from the disciplic succession, and it actually rings true what Lord Brahma says. So this is for the faithful, the people, the theists, the people who believe that Krishna is the creator God, or that there is a creator God, even though there are different names. Krishna says he has many names, but there is a creator God as opposed to the other beliefs. So that was the first one. The second one is the ultimate source is Brahman. So we have Srila Prabhupada speaking about the different aspects of Brahman. It's very, a little bit sort of, from my angle, it's a little bit befuddling. So, but Srila Prabhupada quotes the sloka Vedanti Tattva Vidaskyanam Yad Gyanavadvayam Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavan Iti Sabjate. So that means that there is Brahman and there is Brahman, there's different stages of Brahman realization. So for those realized persons who understand the nature of Brahman, understand that there is a difference. So there is the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, there is the Paramatma, there is the super soul expansion of the Lord, and then there's the original Lord, the Bhagavan personality. So I say, all right, that's very good, so what's the difference? So Prabhupada states many differences about how we can understand this. I was thinking of like a steam train in India. I just heard some pastimes about how some young kids got on the train in India and travelled for 2 days and ended up being 2,000 miles from home. Just by good fortune, they ended up in Navadweep station and a German devotee sort of saw these 2 kids who obviously looked lost. They were 2 brothers, 8 and 5. And he took them and they joined Gurukul. right? And now they've become great devotees, doing lots of preaching. So that was one of Krishna's arrangements. So I can imagine when you see a steam train. So in the villages, they'd never seen a bus before. They thought that the bus was a big box, a steel box, and come in, everybody's getting in and out. They said, oh, that's what we do, we go inside the steel box, and took them to the railway station. They'd never seen a train before, right? And everybody's waiting for this train. And all of a sudden you see the smoke, right? So there's this big smoke in the distance, so that's like the Brahman effulgence. And then all of a sudden there's a shape that takes place, this, big eye and a big steel body coming towards you, so it's definitely a shape. And that's like Paramatma, you can see the form. And then when the train stops, there's people getting in and getting out, and there's a whole interaction. And so that's like Bhagavan, that's the full realization. So Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is the full realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's Bhagavan realization. So this Bhagavan, sometimes people misunderstand that Bhagavan is actually involved in this material nature because he's the creator of the material nature, and therefore he's also subject to the material nature, just like we have the Brahman philosophy that actually we're all God here on this earth, but we're actually sometimes subject to the material modes of nature. Well, if we're subject to the modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance, no matter who we are, it's said, Prabhupada said that sometimes the people who actually make it to Brahman, they come back again because they only know Brahman, they don't know the other aspects, so Krishna doesn't let them into the other aspects of liberation. And it's said the spiritual world is like 3/4 of whole manifestation, we're just 1/4 here. And so these people, they just vibrate in the Brahman, and they come back and they say, oh, I'll do some pious works, I'll good, I'll help society and so forth, stay in the mode of goodness. That's not actually possible because the mode of goodness is just one of the 3 modes, and the modes are very, very strong. And anybody in the material world is subject to the influence, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance. And once you get tainted by these, then again, you're caught in the whirlpool of material existence. So how can God be caught up in the 3 modes of material nature? So Krishna verifies this in Bhagavad Gita 7:12. Chaiva sattvika bhava rajasastam sasyaye mata evati tam vidi na taham teshatemai. That all those states of being, the 3 modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, my energy. Although I manifest this energy, I'm independent, I'm not of the modes. So of course Krishna is not under the influence of material modes. That's why Srila Prabhupada says that we're suffering gods. Like if you want to be God, you're a suffering God, because you're suffering under the 3 modes of material nature. You see an ant crawling around, aham brahmasmi, or a dog, aham brahmasmi, suffering God, spirit, soul, dog's body. Oh, you'll make it one day. Maybe, but the modes are so strong that it's like being stuck in the mud, and the mud sticks to you, and this is how the modes stick to us, that we sometimes cannot get out of the bog, right? That the material energy is so strong. So we're suffering God. So this is the philosophy that, Brahman effulgence is everything. So there is, we're all God and we cause this. But there is a flaw in that philosophy. And for those people who take to Brahman, they still don't understand that the variegateness is there, the super soul, that people gravitate towards the liberated souls. They go to Vaikuntha planets and they enjoy eternal life there in Vaikuntha. So that is the Paramatma realization. And on those Vaikuntha planets there is total variegatedness. So sometimes people say, well, we have so much variegatedness on this earth planet here. What do we do when we get to heaven? what do? You know, just sit there, watch God, you've got your friends, your relatives, what do? Well, that's a limited intelligence, because actually what do we do here? We can sort of get around here in this material world, which is very limited. Once you've been around once, I know many people go on boat cruises, plane cruises, go to the middle of the desert and catch all the wildflowers, and then they go to archipelagos and all these other different places, the mountains, the seas, and then they come back and they've had enough. You're going travelling? No, finished. Nothing else to see, seen it all. Don't want to go again. And it's painful too when you speak travelling in this material world. So even in these different planets, if we were great mystic yogis of different ages, then we could go to all these different planets, but that is also still limited. It's just only one universe, and there are bubbles and myriads of universes here in this cosmic manifestation. This cosmic manifestation is only 1/4 of the Lord's creation. The other 3/4 there is spiritual. So imagine the variegatedness in the spiritual, the different Vaikuntha planets that are there for the liberated souls. There's 4 different types, as they say. There's the ones where you get the personal association with the Lord. You can have the same form as the Lord, and the Lord has got unlimited forms too, as incarnations. You can have these. It's stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam Rita, Kumara, when he went there, he saw all these different manifestations of the forms of the residents of Vaikuntha. You can have the same opulence, or live on the same planet as the Lord. And there are unlimited planets, so if you want to go on a cruise, you can go to all these planets, and you'll never ever run out, because time is eternal. Even if you went to the same one, it'd be different again, because it's so the creation of the Lord is there. And the beauty is there. It's said that this is like the pleasure of the material world, even in the heavenly planes, like a drop in the footprint of a calf, compared to variegatedness in the liberated planets, in the Vaikuntha planets. And then beyond that, there's Krishna Loka, there's Krishna's planet, Vrindavan. And the ecstasy there of Vrindavan Dham is said to be many thousands of times greater than what is there in the Vaikuntha world, because you have the ecstasy of the intimate association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So for those people who think that the ultimate source is Brahman, they're making a big mistake. They are limiting themselves to a very tiny aspect, which is temporary, because it's actually said to be the last snare of Maya. So they don't really get out. They don't get liberation. They have to come back, because they actually have to have a relationship. This is the nature of the soul, that the relationship is always there. So the third type, so we have the 2 types we've had so far. We've had that God is the creator, those who believe that God is the creator, and then those who believe that Brahman is the ultimate source of all manifestations. And so now Srila Prabhupada talks about those people who milk the nipples of a goat's neck, right? Try to milk the nipples of a goat's neck. So who are those? You seen a goat? Got nipples. So they're the type of people who believe that this matter is the source of everything. So there we take it back to the scientists who say, well, in the beginning there was this energy, this massive ball, and went boom, it just exploded, heat and light happened, and from this little amoebas came about, and then they formed atoms and the molecules, and all this plasm started to happen, and then life came from that. Life came from matter. So that is a type of person who believes that matter came from matter. So, but Prabhupada gives so many examples of how inert matter cannot produce this. Just like, for instance, we have firewood. So we have a bunch of firewood out there, that's inert matter, right? That's just wood. Nothing's going to happen to this wood. Unless, if you don't activate it, it'll probably decompose. You know, it's inert matter, right? So, but firewood means firewood. So you put a match to this wood and all of a sudden it lights up. You've got flames, you've got heat, and then you've got smoke and you've got sparks, you've got energy. So this is compared to the Lord activating this material energy. First we have, as Srila Prabhupada says, we have this material energy, this pradhana. Then we have the three modes of material nature, and then it's all there. It's this big chunk, but then the Lord activates this chunk. It just doesn't happen by itself. For this to happen by itself is an impossibility. It's just like, the scientists say that you give 1 million monkeys 1 million typewriters and after a certain mere period of time they will print the Bible. It's not going to happen. It's limited. They're going to fall short, right? Can't even type a word. They might fluke a few words. So this is the scientists' understanding. Similarly, that to get to this level of advanced consciousness, that it is not possible because there is the creation was there in the first place anyway. So even the chunks of matter, that is the Lord. That is the Lord's creation. If we can understand that the Lord's creator, that He is that He creates all these chunks of matter, He activates them, and so this fire. So the Lord is like fire. He activates the firewood, and then we get all these other products. So we say, well, some people can say, some smart people can say, yeah, but in different places, like in really, really hot places, you have bamboo, right? You have bamboo forests. You heard this one, that, in the bamboo, the forest, the bamboo gets really, really hot, like hot season, no rain, the bamboo starts to rub together. Immediately fire happens and you get a forest fire, right? So there you are, we don't need matches, it's just happened by natural causes. Okay, that's all right, but still, what makes the bamboos rub together? The wind, the storm, So the wind is Vayu, it's a personification of Krishna. So he's working through Krishna. Krishna's everything. He makes everything happen. So whatever the cause is, Krishna is the cause behind it. Sarva karana karanam. Right? I'm the cause of all causes. So even that happens. So this philosophy whereby that people can understand, people try to understand that, we'll analyse everything and we'll come to the ultimate conclusion that the truth comes from material energy, and we'll explain it all to you. It's actually not possible because they only have a part of the solution. So even though scientists are very, very smart, Srila Prabhupada actually explains that the smarter a person is, the more puffed up he becomes and the more ignorant he becomes. So sometimes that applies that, so many people are proud of their knowledge and they say, we can work all this out and we'll give it to you, we'll deliver everything to you. So don't believe in God. So atheism is a very, very poignant factor in our life today, and their main argument is say, look what religion has done to our humanity, how dare they practice religion, cause so much. So, okay, there is so much problems with organised religion, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam describes cheating religion. So any religion that's motivated by the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance, is going to be flawed. So therefore, the Bhagavatam here says, Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun is beyond the three modes of material nature. So this is the knowledge that we have in our hands, that this is the pure knowledge that is coming down for society to live. And this is stability. When you understand that, you understand God's plan, you have stability. So without any stability, without God, you have people making up their own systems, But then they're subject to the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion and ignorance. And in that there's going to be flaws. So we can see that society today, okay, we've got this system and that system, but you see that people come subject to the modes of material nature and they become flawed. I can talk about, I'll just mention this very sensitive issue, the gun laws that are there present in our society today. So, say, well, is our right to have guns and protect ourselves? And that way the society will all live in the mode of goodness, because we'll, need that sort of defensive mode. But ultimately, I don't know if anybody's ever held a gun in their hand. The sort of mode of passion sort of starts to creep in. When you've got a gun, you want to pull the trigger at something. And it comes right back from our early age, when we are given an iPhone. I was just talking with somebody at what stage of one's youth development does one get an iPhone? Well, these days it's about 3 years old, 3 years, 4 years old. And what they give them a game, right? And the biggest proportion of games is that you shoot someone, right? And then as you get bigger, you get these gross games. I couldn't believe it when I had my teenage sons, but that they're sort of shooting, there's blood everywhere. Oh, don't worry, Dad, they're ghouls, they're ghouls, they're ghosts, they're ghouls, like those ways. What they call? Huh? Zombies, yeah, they're zombies. Boom, blood everywhere, So, got these big guns, right? Huge, about this big, boom, 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 right? They shoot everything up, right? So this is the nature of society today. They're influenced by the mode of passion, and they say, oh, no, we can control it. So this is on all levels, that within the society today, it's just like, you gamble responsibly, drink responsibly, be responsible. But it's very hard when the modes of material nature are so strong. And it's their age. Manda Samanda Mataya Manda Bhagyo Padrata, in this age of Kali, it's like quarrel hypocrisy. And sometimes when you get involved, men have short lives, quarrelsome, lazy, so when you're quarrelsome and you want to, so you use whatever you can as your means to push your point. So this more or less describes society today. So without the stability of God's laws, because actually the universe is created by Krishna and there's certain laws. The scientists are discovering these laws, the laws of atoms, the laws of gravity, the laws, so many different laws. But there's a lawmaker. He's put it all together. So if we understand the laws, then everything goes smoothly. So the laws you understand through the disciplic succession. I just heard this example the other day. I don't know, I think it's pretty good that we have so many electrical appliances. Like, name an appliance, give me something.
Blender.
A blender. Okay, thank you very much. Blender's very good, and it's sitting there in the kitchen, right? And you've got the ingredients, and you've got the blender. So therefore you plug the blender into a socket, turn on the socket, and you got action. You got music, right? For the cook it's music, isn't it? Grinding up all these different spices and that. So this is like the disciplic succession. We're plugging in to the disciplic succession. We take the shastras that are given to us by the spiritual masters, and as I said, it goes right back to the Adi Kavya, the Lord Brahma himself, right? So then all this knowledge becomes manifest, and we can understand the pattern. It's like sometimes like I'm doing yoga and I'm getting a lot out of yoga, but yoga is a sequence. You might do one exercise where you're sort of standing like standing in your warrior position, but it's only a sort of sequence of a whole lot of flow. So what the scientists are coming up with is just like one part, a small part of the cosmic manifestation, which is actually flowing along. They have no idea of the time elements or the vastness of the cosmos, the limited outside the universe, and the flow is always there. That there is no end, right? The universe is always flowing. Even though it's destroyed, it's created again. This is a flow coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we immerse ourselves in this knowledge, then we can understand our position as spiritual souls in this material universe and workings of the nature, and we become stable because we take shelter in Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Oh, that's my understanding. I'll read the sloka again. No direct engineering by the Lord for the creation and destruction of the material world. What is described in the Vedas about the direct interference is simply to counteract the ideas that material nature is the creator. So any questions or comments at this point in time? There's 4 minutes to go. All good? We're going to read the Bhagavatam. First sloka, first chapter, that'll tell you everything you need to know. Okay? Jai, all glory to you, Prabhu.